Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Strife's Sanctum podcast. My name is Citizen Strife, and this week I keep going on about spring anime this season, and I've actually gotten through quite a bit of new things this week. And I'm honestly surprised I like as much stuff this season as I do, because normally I get like 4 to 5 shows that I enjoy, whether it's sequels or not, and then I kind of just, the rest. But there were a lot of shows that I actually did start enjoying, so whether they fall off eventually or not, I'll know as soon as possible. But for right now, I'll talk about the things that I did like, what I didn't like, why I didn't like them, and why other people might like them. And bear in mind that, as per usual, these are spoiler reviews as much as I can, because I may be ahead of people who haven't watched them, or I'm talking about things that may or may not occur as speculation later in the season, or I haven't seen the episodes because they were dubbed like a week or two before, or a week or two after the episodes actually aired, so people might have more knowledge than I do. Keep that in mind. But spoilers abound. These are dub versions, and no guarantees that just because the show is not there that I don't like it or don't know about it. It's just these are the ones that I liked for my own reasons, and we'll keep going under that clarification. But anyway, spoiler warning again. And we'll start, obviously, with Apothecary Diaries. As soon as I clear my throat. Great start. But yes, Apothecary Diaries season 2. It's technically season 2. I'm confused because Apothecary is one of those shows that has 2 different cores for 2 different seasons. And I'm so used to everything being called a new season now when there are only like 12 episodes. So it's season 2, part 2. But last time out, they went to the baths and they did the thing. And the baths are the pool episode. And what Mao Mao found while dicking around in the massage parlor and all that stuff was Lady Lishu, one of the kind of forgotten main concubines. They finally brought her out of hiding and actually gave her something to talk about. And her thing was a monster in a bathroom. So, not like the demon of the toilet from like SMT. I'm talking just a scary monster from a curtain. And in per usual Apothecary style and Mao Mao style, she finds a way to go about it. But while she's figuring out what the mystery is and how it's being caused, she's also finding out that, oh boy, there are people that don't like Lishu at all in her court, because it seems like that always seems to be the case, isn't it? So hooray for Master Jinshi being around to basically bitch slap for one way or another this person back to reality and say, this is improper and I'm going to call you on it and you're probably going to get fired. Shit like that, which is happening a lot in this show. They're still doing the teases of like Mao Mao figuring out who Jinshi is and the fact that he has a frog. I love that they keep saying it's a frog instead of but yeah, she knows it and it's funny. But yeah, Apothecary Diaries is amazing, and I've recently started putting shows in the 10. I already had like 2 or 3 shows put in the 10s category. I normally never give things 10s because I'm always like gonna find something better or gonna, and then I was like, they're like 5 to 10 shows in my life that I put at the 10, and I think Apothecary Diaries is in that role, and it's because of Mao Mao. So yeah, I really, really like this show, as if I needed any more convincing, because I've been talking about it for about a year now. Let's see here. We started the Black Butler Emerald Witch arc, which is good. Couple of episodes into the first bit of the arc, and I wasn't sure what to think about it, because the public school arc, it really just dawned on me that the show's been around for 15 years, and the manga's probably been going around longer, and the style of the show has gone from that like mid 2000s kind of camp to a lot more very self-serious style show with a lot of macabre. I mean, it always had that tinge to it, but it always played the visuals a lot less, you know. It just seems like the longer it's gone on, the more sophisticated the imagery, and it just feels a lot more intense now than it used to, rather than, oh, it's a comedy, let's treat it as a comedy, let's just do skits. It does definitely seem like it's bending, not quite as, just because Lee and I rewatched, you know, the non-canon season 2 with Al Louis Trancy. That shit is fucking wrong on so many levels. That's not what I mean. I mean the look, the feel, the stakes in this seem a lot more just. There is still comedy, but they've bent it towards drama now, and I think in a way that's a good thing. So I think that's what a show needs to do. They need to up the stakes, and they need to up the intensity when things, you know, go on for so long. And with Emerald Witch, the idea is that these werewolves have this village locked down or protected or some shit, and they go and investigate. So they bring, you know, Ciel and Sebastian, the dork crew, and Snake, and then investigate, and they find Sieglin Sullivan and Wolfram Getzer, or Getzler, I believe, and they are the leaders of this band of witches that are just cut off from the world, and, you know, they're ostracized witches in a way. And they haven't, like, explained what Sieglin can do, but I do like the fact that there is kind of a layer to her character that has yet to be explained. It isn't, like, completely just, I'm a bad person. No, she's fine, and it's... What works for me is that it's in that, like, jokey aspect of I'm a person out of water, out of my depth with people, but Ciel is also out of his depth because he's trying to learn a language and can't understand. Sebastian is trying to get into it, and he has his own Germanic accent to go along with it when he's talking with them, but when he's talking with everybody else, he sticks to his English-style accent. And, you know, he's above it all, but he's not quite above it all. But he's just having the time of his life. There's this thing in episode 2 where Sieglin just does this, like, weird exchange, you know, that's very Echo-ish in... very Echo-ish in, you know, Final Fantasy IX. I've complained about the Echo thing before, so go back and watch that one. But yeah, it's played for laughs here, and I hope that sort of thing is very minimized, because Ciel has a fiance, so I don't know if I want that storyline more than just a joke, you know, especially given that this show really shouldn't go down that path, given what they've done with Lizzie already. But as like a one-off gag to explain her, like, mannerisms and such, I thought it was funny. But, you know, less is more. But you still needed that jokey atmosphere of Black Butler to, you know, really hammer home the characters, because if it was pure drama or pure comedy, it wouldn't work so well. But the first 2 episodes are promising. I like this new main character. You know, having somebody as the same age as Ciel is a different kind of vibe, so I like that, and I think that's gonna help send what they're gonna do with it. It's gotten to the point where I've just accepted it's a good show instead of it's junk, and I like it because it's junk. So yeah, it's just a bunch of memes and a bunch of girls and silly unaware Kurt. The idea is they're trying to figure out who is going after this Liselotte girl, who's this third princess, whatever. So they kind of get a general gist of things, but the gag of the show is that whether Kurt's trying to or not, he always seems to have an answer for everything before they do it. And, you know, everybody just has to bounce off it and deal with it. Not like he's, again, not intentional. It's just, it happened. Oh boy, it's funny. It's more that the stuff around him is more interesting than him himself, than Kurt himself. And, you know, basically just having skeletons walk into a wall that he purified by accident, you know, that sort of stupid shit. But Kurt is still engaging in a way because everybody else around him is engaging, and the dialogue can be fun. I know that my favorite character is Bandana, this thief, roguish girl who was in his original party, has been kind of following him around because somebody's asked him to. We don't know who is bankrolling her, but she knows who he is, and nobody else knows who he is until they basically have to just kind of make a gentleman's agreement or gentleman's agreement to just be like, don't tell Kurt about anything that we know, because then he would be I do get the sense that some people aren't happy with the gag, but I think that the show makes sense in the sense that some of them know that if he used his full power to his full potential, all of the shit that would go away, like the assassination plots, all the other shit, they would be done in a day. If he had half a brain, it would be done by now. But where's the drama in that? At the same time, one of the leads is also like, well, if we do that, and if we announce that this superpowered dude is here, but he has a heart of a fucking, just a gnat, he'll be taken advantage of, and for bad reasons, and a lot of people with a lot worse intentions. So there are still elements of subterfuge, even if there's not a lot in there. One of the interesting subplots was Lizelotte's relationship with him, and trying. I made the remark last time. I was like, dude, he's a great housewife. I want to put a ring on him so bad, shit like that. So they pull this line in the most recent episode where Kurt and Lizelotte are talking, and she's trying to get in his pants, basically. But he doesn't know it. And of course he doesn't. He's oblivious. That's his whole thing. He's unaware. So they're talking, and he doesn't get the hint. And he's just like, well, I like, I have somebody I need to protect. And she takes it the wrong way. And then he just immediately goes like, I need to protect all of you ladies. And her heart drops. Where a couple of the main characters have been slowly kind of like getting, romantically involved without getting romantically involved. And one of them basically confesses. And then Rex just stands there and goes, I love you. Pans to the other girl. And all of you guys. And she just looks, and her heart sinks, and the entire... Because you could see it's just so fucking... Oh, same idea with less stakes. That sort of thing. At least with this, it was a one-off gag in like episode 5 or 6 instead of like right near the end of a 60 or 70 hour game, right? Fucking hell, At Xenoblade 2, man, Rex is stupid. Anyway, but yeah, this show is pretty good, and I've liked it, and it's bumped up into I like watching it rather than I like watching it ironically, waiting for it to fuck up. Because there were times where I just kept thinking, will this fuck up? And I'm dodging every sidestep. I don't know if I can say the same about these next two. Well, let's get to we'll get to them. I like having things in order, but actually, let's see. These three look like candidates for might drop or might end up not liking, but we'll see. Devil May Cry 2025. I'm about episode 4-ish, and the White Rabbit has gotten his hands on this special amulet that Dante is still, unsure that he's a demon and all this crap. And I don't like the fact that he doesn't know that he's a fucking demon. I'm a motherfucking demon! You would think, of all people, Dante would just adore the idea of, hey, I'm a half demon. That sounds pretty fucking cool, doesn't it? But no, he keeps denying it, keeps denying his relations to Sparta. I don't know if it's to protect his other family. Well, they're already fucking dead. It doesn't really matter. But whatever. So, ladies, Darkom special ops units gets fucking murdered. Dante's face gets blown off, but he recovers because of that. So they're on this freaking like Air Force 2. I didn't even know there was an Air Force 2. I knew there was an Air Force 1, but it would make sense, but I've never heard of an Air Force 2. That's how little I hear about vice presidents. But anyway, so Dante gets lulled into this thing where he has to protect a bunch of people on a plane from some bombs. So he kills people, because of course he does. Lady has to fight off these people that are chasing her and her former Darkom comrades, as they all get fucking just destroyed by other demons. So she's running around trying to find her way through, and she finds these this like group of demons that are harboring themselves and out of just being scared and worry and despair from being in the other world, and they're basically just hiding. She pulls a gun on them, and she just decides, do I really want to shoot these people? They're not trying to hurt me, shit like that. So I think her story is like really the anchor to this show. As simple as this stuff is for a very like bombastic, goofy ass Devil May Cry, spin-off thing. Dante is only as interesting as he can be. There's not really much you can do with Dante. He does the gun thing, he does the shooty thing, he does the stabby thing, he does the heal thing. He's there to provide action and be stupid. Lady is the one that's providing the gravitas sometimes. And I do like the White Rabbit, hamming it up on some of the sequences. I'm not going to say it's like high art or something, because who the fuck would watch Devil May Cry or play Devil May Cry for high art? It's kind of the same way Castlevania is. The anime version of Castlevania went for the high drama. It's camp. I know that. I'm getting what I want. I kind of wish the show would stop reusing and utilizing like freaking Limp Bizkit, Papa Roach, Rage Against the Machine, that sort of thing. Like, I get it for soundtrack purposes and to date itself in the whole we're edgy and cool early 2000s mantra, but that's one of the few things that I don't think, because this isn't like anime-ish. It's like South Korean, if I remember right, something like that. So somebody had the idea to just go balls to the wall. Am I saying it's perfect? No. I'm accepting that it's Devil May Cry. I was expecting really dumb and, good enough fight scenes. I'm about halfway through. I like it, but I realize that, like, this isn't gonna be the best thing I've ever seen. Same thing with this show called The Beginning After the End. So I talked about the bleh of the beginning part of the being reborn as a baby, and worrying that it could either be the Aristocrat show where the dude grooms people by accident out of nowhere, or it could be Ascendance of a Bookworm where he actually does kind of care and there's actually some like heart to it. I'm going to say this is going to end up in the middle, where as long as they keep the characters intact, I'm okay, because his reactions as a narrator are kind of the fun part, because you have this super powered person growing up in this even to low fantasy, and like you're getting glimpses of him being a high fantasy setting as this king, and now he's this young kid, whatever. And as long as the parents just stick around and are interesting, or at least they describe different relationships that this guy has, and it doesn't get on the creepy, cringy, weird side, because he does have the intelligence of a 40-year-old king, and how he interacts with people. Like, I think this last episode was cool because he was taken care of by this, I don't know what we would call it, mystical person, like former night lady, mystical person. It's one of those kinds of things. Given tools to survive and told to survive by somebody who sacrifices their own life for his. Something like that story. Getting back to his other party members and then still having to, get more party members into it and getting more characters involved. I think other characters are going to engage the show better than the main character himself. But I have high hopes for it. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it, but I think 3 episodes in, I have hopes that it's solid enough. Moonrise. This is the one I'm tempted to drop, but haven't yet. What I would say about this one so far is I don't think it went in the right orders of things. Like, they tried to explain all their power sets and cool stuff with the moon like a couple episodes later, rather than, you know, doing things like they explored they explored character dynamics a little later than they should have, because they were trying to set up the moon is going after the whatever, and we're going to have a resistance group that is going to be independent from the whatever and stealing our resources. They were trying to establish that bit before they were establishing the characters, I think. And there are too many characters around that I don't know what I think about them yet. Because I have the main dude, I have his relationship with the main girl, and then there's like 4 or 5 other people that are just kind of existing in a thing, and then they get rid of some of the others, and I'm supposed to care about one of the guys who died, and then I don't, you know, so I'm just kind of bouncing off it. And the fact that I'm bouncing off an episode this early, like episode 4, episode 5, does not hold me much hope. Because from what I'm hearing, people like the visuals, they like the battles, but they think the plot makes no goddamn sense. Which really frustrates me, because it has like 16 episodes left. So of the shows that I'm considering dropping, and of the ones that I've stuck with so far, this is probably the one. You know, DMC is already like halfway into it, and it's only like 4 episodes left. I think it can hold out. This one may not, because it's twice the length of that. The new show I don't have to worry about dropping is Kowloon Generic Romance. I talked about this before, and I'm going to keep talking about it, because things with these characters. They're exploring a different way of like falling in love with somebody, because they're kind of leaving you guessing, like, what is this person actually? Is she a twin? Did she have amnesia? They explore the amnesia bit. They talk through things. They constantly talk about things. They kind of nag at each other. She finds a new friend or two, and they start introducing more people. And it's really interesting how Kujirai is this person, and then they have an ambulance coming by. I'll wait until I'm done here. Great. Gotta love it. I'm trying to talk, and an ambulance comes by. Life in the big city. But yeah, Kujirai is not sure, like, who she is, and then they give you like a flashback of her, like the other person that she's apparently, like, the fact that they're exploring amnesia already is telling me that's not what this is, because she has amnesia, but why does she have it, you know? Or is she a twin, or is she the same person, or did that person die and then this person like get plastic surgery or something? Like, I don't know. It's interesting, you know. They're going to explore a lot of different things, and it probably just end up in the same conclusion. But the fact that these characters are so engaging in this setting is really cool, because it is about the characters less so than the setting. Though the setting does have something to do with it. It's just a lot of them going out to eat and drink and have fun and shit. But it's them bantering back and forth that's fun. They did end up with a cliffhanger with this weirdo doctor guy who's just this creeper, which could go somewhere. Like, you know, it's just, you know, of the new shows this season, this is the one. Like, Atelier or Meister, I like the most, because it's very lack of stakes. It's just very jokey. It's just dumb harem stuff, but done properly, and it's a pleasant. Kowloon Romance is probably the best one, though. And it's probably going to end up being the best one because of the character dynamics and the stuff. They're really going hard, and it's probably going to stick. Another one that might not, which, because I only saw one, is Teogonia. I don't know enough about this show yet to say what I think of it. I'm getting a very Jiu Osei vibe to it. This person is in this fantasy setting, and they're getting glimpses of having been isekai'd without saying they've been isekai'd, basically. But unlike the other guy who was just basically thrown here, it's like this guy was living here already and like came to be, and this fantasy setting kind of operates under the idea of mana improves people, and you have to have guardians. It's a lot of technobabble to explore what's pretty much basic shit. Your chi, your key, your energy source. And this guy, I do like Kai as a protagonist because he's like, I'm going to become a major powerful person and it's going to be cool and whatever. But they're fighting these like demi-human creatures in these battles. And I think it's trying too hard to establish lore for things that are not that interesting, because it's a basic ass like prehistoric meets early medieval fantasy setting. Not quite just medieval setting, because that's been the default. It's before that. So there's at least some ground you might be able to cover in there. Not even prehistory, just the idea that demi-humans exist and whatnot. There's something there. I just don't know enough to have an informed opinion of like, is this gonna stick? You have the 3-episode rule, not as a rule, but as an expectation. So it's like, give it a couple more and I'll know for sure. Not exactly thrilled with it, but I don't hate it. So that's not the best thing to go on. Last show that I'm probably going to stick with is the Gorilla God's Go-To Girl. This is a show that does establishing, its world set up properly. It's a world where people on their 16th birthday get these blessings just randomly given to them by God. It's a divination. It's a card. You get a god, an animal concept. Kind of in the same way that Fruits Basket had the Somas, exhibit different versions of zodiac animals. But this is a more magical way of doing it, more comedic way of doing it. So this girl gets this power of the gorilla god, and she can, run really fast and blow shit up and, jump onto things and save people's lives with ease and just have super strength. And that's the sight gag, is she's able to do all the crazy shit because she's a girl, but she has the strength of a gorilla, And it's pretty obvious. It's a very bare bones romance comedy, high school drama thing. But the added layer of having, this person's a dog, so they run faster. This person has a hidden whatever, so they'll tell you what it is. It's probably a fucking spider, if I'm being totally honest. But everybody has their own different thing. So she wants to be a super popular, ditzy random valley girl person, but has been blessed with this superpower of being a gorilla, so she's a knight instead. There's lots you can do in terms of comedy for sight gags with different blessings, provided you don't go overboard with it. And you don't go overboard with, oh, I've been bullied, and you're taking all the, the whole, oh my god, all these hot guys are fawning over, that stupid high school bullshit. So is it perfect? No, but I think there's enough cool stuff you can do with different concepts to last for a while. And I don't think it's taking itself seriously that I have to invest a lot of brain power into it. So this is going to be just fine in that Atelier Meister kind of way. It's like, hey, I'm good with that. And that's 2 episodes in. I think it'll be decent enough, and I'm happy. Let's see, is there anything new? Should I have liked it? Should I have not? But I dropped it. And some of these might be weird choices. Some of them might be. Let's just get the one out of the way early that I knew I would hate. Once Upon a Witch's Death. I dumped it in 5 minutes because the main character is fucking obnoxious. It's trying to be comedic, and it's terrible at it. It's obnoxious, and it's demeaning, and it's annoying, and that's what the main character is talking about. And it has a main hook of this witch is going to die in a year, but it's played for comedy, and she doesn't believe it. So she doesn't believe it. So she says everything on the planet, and she says, "You're fucking dumb. I don't believe you." And this should have been a drama. I mean, it would have been cliche, but at least you could have done something with the witch's powers. And they're trying to be a stupid, low-stakes comedy with a hook of a high, intense, a highly important drama, and it doesn't work. Maybe that's trying to be subversive. Maybe that's trying to do something different with it. No, it's just obnoxious. So I dumped it in 5 minutes. Fuck that show. Witch Watch. This is weird because I want to like it, and yet I hate it at the same time. I dumped it in 10 minutes because there are some spots of funny dialogue, some exchanges with the characters. What I think really kills it, though, is the pacing is trying way too hard to be like an American comedy, slapsticky and just out of crazy. It's trying to be Konosuba. I'm just going to say it. It's trying to be Konosuba, but it's trying too hard. Now, that sounds like that'd be amazing, and for some people probably will be, but for me, I was like, I don't like these two. I don't want to like these two. Every minute or so I might, and that's the thing. Like, there's something there that is grabbing me, but I don't know if I want it enough to get past the fact that these people are fucking annoying too, and that they just don't slow down. It's trying too hard to be an American comedy, or it's trying too hard to follow the pattern that Konosuba has kind of perfected. Because even though Konosuba is a fast-going comedy, that's more like you can follow it. Like, they're not trying to go a mile a minute with every fucking joke, and it doesn't just land. I think their comments are more schneid comedy than, "Oh my god, it's funny, look at me talking," blah. So I think there's going to be an audience for Witch Watch, but I don't think I'm it, because I need it to be very comedic, but also kind of, Black Butler-ish. Like, it's very snide and dry and deadpan, and I get it. And sometimes you can get away with the I don't think Japan comedy works the same way American comedy does, because American comedy is joke, 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 joke. Japan doesn't do that, or at least anime stuff doesn't do that. They have to go a little more, they have to slow things down a little bit. And I think that's where they succeed. When you're trying to do both, it fails. So that's what it is. This one, I don't know what the reaction is to this one, though. It's Anne Shirley. And I hate it because of one thing. Anne Shirley's about this girl who gets taken to, this orphan who gets taken to this new place. This woman was expecting a guy, but it ended up being a girl, and she's ostracized for it. And my biggest problem is it's this sense of wonder. This woman has a sense of wonder to her. She thinks everything is amazing, and that's cool. But instead of narrating it all and just letting kind of the imagery happen and slowing down, she vocalizes everything she says with inflection. "Oh my god, it's so wonderful in this place. It's gonna be lovely. I think I have the time of my life. It's so amazing," and I'm just, shut up. Please shut up for 5 seconds. Kind of like the person from Witch's Death. Anne does not shut up about everything being lovely and everything being interesting. And even when she's ostracized by that person, by the foster mother or foster grandmother, she's like, "Yo, you hated me, and I knew this was going to happen." She says everything out loud. We don't need that. You don't need to say that. Everything. You don't need to see everything in your head out loud to somebody. There is a moment where you can stop and just have a context. Maybe there's something about her backstory that explains why she is the way she is, but I'm not interested in it if I have to deal with 13 episodes of her constantly saying, oh my god, the world is great and I love it. It's the same idea as Witch Watch. You don't have to say everything. Sometimes silence is golden. Or having a narration. That's probably why the beginning after the end works, is because this guy is self-narrating the world. He's not vocalizing everything to every character ever, right to your face. Like it's the best thing he's ever talked about. It's a kid doing kid things to adults who hate the fact that they're talking to, and she's a 13 or 14-year-old girl. She shouldn't be doing that. If she was 5, I could buy it. I could buy a kid doing that. But she's like 13 or 14 or something, and she's going, wow, it's so amazing. And then to top it all off, there's this like weird imagery in the first episode of her like having a fisheye lens like pointed at her face, and she's like in this creepy, almost like yandere-ish look. It's unsettling. The fact that I dumped this show, and yet I'm going to remember that face for the rest of my life, whether I want to or not, is frightening. Not that they were trying to go for horror, but that's exactly what it is. If you saw the show, you know what thing I'm talking about. And I made a still image of it, and my God, I'm never gonna want to see it again. But anyway, that's a lot of shows still. Even with the ones I've dropped, I still have. This is a good season. Even without the sequels of Black Butler and Apothecary, there's just a lot to like here, and I'm really happy with it. And I don't know if there's other shows that I'm going to stick with or going to drop eventually, but I think there's quite a bit of stuff here that I can sink my teeth into. And I'm still trying to... So it's not just weekly stuff. But that'll do for this week's review. And next week is Mega Man 4. Done the episode already. So Mega Man X4 is in 2 weeks. And then, or in a couple weeks after that, got Castlevania Seasons 1 through 4, Legend of Zelda, Link Between Worlds, Violet Evergarden, which I'm currently rewatching, and speaking of shows that went into the 10s, rewatching that show pretty much just put it into the 10 for me. Yeah, I will love talking about that at length. And then I've chosen to talk about Bravely Second towards the end of July. So that'll be a lot of stuff for me to do and talk about and have fun with. But that'll do for today, and I will see you next time. Citizen Strife, signing off.